So unlike most artists, I don't think I actually began drawing OCs until I was in high school, which was around 9th grade. Before that, I would just draw random characters and never see them again. Or I would just like do a random design and be like, oh, this is cool. Time to move on from this. But until 9th grade, like that's when I finally began drawing characters that were reoccurring. I started doing more sequential art. And among those OCs, 3 of my oldest ones are Steven, Mitch, and Winston. They have grown and changed dramatically over the years, which is crazy to think. My first drawing of these characters was in 2020. Now it's the start of 2024 and my art style has only in the span of 4 years. I mean, everyone improves their art differently. I don't know if 4 years is fast or slow, but for me, it's been a very long 4 years. So first to the chopping block. They might either emerge better or worse from this. But first up is Mitch. Now, Mitch has a very interesting character backstory. Mitch first began as a very happy-go-lucky demon. He was kind of like that kind of pathetic character. He was that kind of character where he's a pushover. I have a few doodles of him here, but he was supposed to be super chill, kind, laid back, but he was also a demon, so he was supposed to subvert the whole stereotype. And he was kind of created as a companion to Steven, which is crazy. Like, I'm doing it out of order, but Steven was made first. But with Mitch, he was a happy demon, and then 2022 came along, and for some reason I was going through an edgy art phase and I was like, no, he's insane. He's insane. So for this voiceover, I wasn't sure if I wanted to talk about the process of doing his new design or just give backstory on who Mitch is as a character. But instead, I think I'll just talk off the cuff about my experience redesigning Mitch. One of the biggest reasons I was so unsatisfied with his design was because it felt one-dimensional and I didn't really know anything about him. But since we had the whole basis that he'd be super aggressive and have a kind of macho, emo exterior, the idea came that he definitely have some kind of punk rock aesthetic going on. So I went to Pinterest. I'll put the references on the screen, but I was also partly inspired by Hobie Brown in Across the Spider-Verse.
How are you even cooler under your mask?
I was just cool the whole time.
I really loved his whole punk rock anarchist aesthetic that he had going. It feels really empowering, especially as a way to go against the grain, go against the status quo, and that fit Mitch's character perfectly. So that's why I added chains, I added sleeveless hoodies, sleeveless clothing, put like rips in his pants. And this kind of relates to his whole personality because behind his super tough exterior, Mitch is actually a very hurt individual. He's been hurt in the past before, not by some kind of like relationship or love interest or anything, but he was born defective, quote unquote, and was shunned by his own father. Which is how he then ended up becoming a demon at base number 7. In his old design, you might see that he had horns. I just kind of completely did away with those because, especially for animating, I felt it would be super difficult to rotate a character on model with those horns. So here I began drawing some of Mitch's outfits. So the first one is kind of edgy, like ×2. If I just pushed and exaggerated everything even further, that would be the first one. The second one is for more like mainstream, widespread appeal. Maybe something he'd just wear casually going out on the road or walking to a convenience store. And the third one is what his formal wear would look like. And I was like, it's kind of boring to just go for a regular like black suit and tie. What would be a suit outfit that Mitch would go for? And I was like, he definitely would not wear a shirt underneath it. Like, I'm trying to imagine a world where Mitch would like iron a dress shirt and like meticulously button it up and wear it to a function, and there's no way that he would actually do that. So he just wears a jacket on top with like some spikes and like a lot of patchwork because I feel like he'd probably rip into it a lot. And overall, I really was happy with the color scheme that I chose. This is actually my first time doing different outfits for characters, and it was really nice to be able to keep it simple and consistent. Overall, this is it. This is the first redesign I did of Mitch. This is actually also the first like proper character sheet I'm making since like 2021, and I think I did this for Art Fight, but Art Fight was just an excuse. At the start, I was kind of scared, but this reference sheet turned out much better than I thought it would. But I can't speak any more about Mitch and his story without next moving on to his other half, Steven. So, Steven is my first old, like, proper OC. He's friendly, polite, kind of a pushover. I first made him, I think, in 2020. At the time, his story was about a high school student council club, and he was the overworked secretary that was balding from stress. He had 3 demonic triplet sisters who would terrorize him, and he was generally tired or on the brink of snapping at someone every single day. And his mom was a karate teacher, and his dad was a famous circus clown. He would curse, grab people. He was always kind of pissed off and generally fed up with everyone on the student council because they would relegate all of the hard work to him just because he was a secretary. But he still didn't really have the guts to really say no to anyone because he's kind of an overachiever, which kind of gives you whiplash now when I realize that his personality now is very chill and laid back and kind of indecisive, wishy-washy, kind of a pushover. He has no goals, no ambition, no aspirations, no motivation, no dreams.
I don't have goals. I don't have ambition. I only want to be attractive. I only want to look good. I just want to be sexy. Fuck everything else. Nothing else matters. I just want to be pretty. I don't care. I don't care about shit.
I'm not sure when he turned into this sort of shy, timid, cowardly person. But yeah, looking back now, it seems like Mitch and Steven kind of swapped personalities. But now, in the same sci-fi supernatural setting as Mitch, Steven also works at the Calamity Order base number 7 as Mitch's co-worker and roommate. It's not that serious. The dorm has 4 people in it. There's 4 people. But yeah, Steven works at the Calamity Order with Mitch at base number 7, but he is not a demon. In fact, Steven is an Elenchi. So in his early designs, I made up a race called Elenchi, which are like half human, half god judges. They're known for being very stiff, very cold, stern, and there are only a few Elenchi bloodlines, and each family honors a specific god who sponsors that family line for eternity. This god grants those families powers, but they're still half human, so they can die of natural causes or of mortal wounds. I won't say much more because the details might change in the future. So Steven's early designs included his Elenchi form. They would gain translucent skin because above all, Elenchi value transparency, fairness, and honesty. I thought I was really doing something. And his hair turns white in his Elenchi form, standard anime power-up mode. Elenchis usually work as arbiters or auditors for angels, devils, and humans, and they oversee fairness and order. But I've emphasized before that Steven has no ambition, no talent, no goals, no dreams, and he's also really bad at being an Elenchi. He also is not really at the Calamity Order as an Elenchi because he keeps failing his exam. Instead, he's there as a medic. And when he first arrives, people are like, aren't you an Elenchi? Why are you being a medical staff? This is what humans do, because it's mostly humans that work as medics. Steven's just kind of ha ha ha, laughing it off. Please don't ask me any questions, because he doesn't really want to let everyone know that he was expelled from the Elenchi Academy because he was so bad at being one. After an unforgivable incident that we shall not talk about, including Steven and the deaths of his peers. And some extra trivia is that Steven is younger. Steven is younger than Mitch by a few months. It looks like it's a year. I believe Mitch is 23, Steven is 22. But depending on my mood, Mitch is 22 and Steven is 21. With this design, I really wanted to show Steven's more golden retriever energy because he's supposed to be super upbeat and happy and cheerful and friendly, which is a stark contrast to Mitch, who is really angry and aggressive. No one talked to me and emo and edgy and all of that. His original design had turquoise, like a bluish, greenish hair, and so many times I've gone through a crisis where I'm like, should I just change it to brown? His hair color is so hard to find clothing to style for, so I really struggled with finding a cohesive color scheme. You can't put them in green again. I guess you could, but that's so boring. That's monochromatic. And do you give him purple? I was experimenting with burgundy and I didn't really like it. I found a pretty suitable palette for him. We will style him in autumn, fall-esque aesthetic clothing. Browns, oranges, red, yellows, super warm, fuzzy colors. So I drew his hand here, and with his hand, I wanted to just drawing a hand is boring. So I wanted to add some accessories. What kind of accessories would Steven wear? His style is kind of basic. I'm gonna be real with you. Mitch is all about anti-fascism, anti-corporation. He's punk rock. We have that established. But with Steven has, I said before, he has no ambition. He's a basic guy. He has yet to really find himself, so his style is gonna be sort of more normal Pinterest poster boy. So that ring there is supposed to represent I feel like I'm some kind of Genshin character designer. But that ring with the cat is supposed to be Mitch, and then that bracelet that he's wearing was given to him by his sister. If you haven't caught on yet, his whole aesthetic is that he's just really pretty. So I gave him super long, luscious eyelashes and thick eyebrows to balance it out. And then for his outfits were pretty simple. The first one is just what he wears to bed. Steven goes to bed with just socks and boxers. Then we have his outfit for when he's on medic duty. I'm not really satisfied with this outfit, to be honest. It's kind of basic, but as time goes along, I'll figure out a more interesting way of styling like a medical uniform that is fit for a top secret research organization. And then his last outfit is what he would wear if he was going on a date, or if he's going out, you know, he's dressing up a little. That is Steven's reference sheet. So Steven's hairstyle has actually changed. I'll put a picture of his new hairstyle on the screen here. Just know that he has a mullet now, so like the back of his hair is much longer. Now there is a third character that I wanted to get to by the name of Winston.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the man?
Winston is my second oldest OC. He's a bit of a narcissist, psychopathic, mad scientist, if you will, and he's really incorrigible, nasty, gross, disgusting, horrible. We don't like Winston here. And Winston Defenders, this is not a safe space for you. But I am afraid I've rambled way too much. I don't think I have enough time to get to him, so maybe I'll get to him in a part 2 if I do make one. If you'd like to know more about Mitch and Steven's story, feel free to check their Toy House profiles, or you can check my Instagram where I post about them a bit too much. That is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.